These Florida homeowners are being forced off their waterfront properties because the last two hurricanes didn't just wreck their houses, it destroyed their lives. And here in Florida, people are finding out it's almost impossible to just fix their homes and move on. Permits are holding things up, contractors are cutting corners, and now a lot of homeowners are being told they got to tear their houses down completely. But here's the thing, in all this chaos, there might be some real opportunities for smart buyers. You've just got to be able to understand what's going on down here, and you got to know what to look for. So today, I'm breaking it all down, what's stopping these homeowners from rebuilding, why some are being forced out, and how buyers can navigate this mess to find a deal. Let's jump in. When a hurricane hits, the damage is obvious. Roofs are ripped off, windows are shattered, there's water everywhere.
Water.
This is terrible.
But what's less obvious are the challenges homeowners face trying to fix it all. It seems simple, right? You want to repair your house and move on. But here in Florida, the permitting process is making that almost impossible for some families.
I can't live in this flood zone where you're constantly having to move out for 6 or 7 months.
Now, permits exist for a reason. They're supposed to make sure repairs are done safely and up to code. But after a big storm, the system gets overwhelmed, so the wait times are insane. The process can be confusing and homeowners feel like they're running in circles. And without permits, though, you're risking your future because your insurance might deny your next claim. And when you go to sell your house, unpermitted work can tank the value. Take St. Pete Beach as an example. One family is literally living in a mobile home parked in their driveway because their house is unlivable after the last hurricane. According to Bay News 9, they've been waiting months just to get permits approved so they can start fixing the damage. And in the meantime, their home is falling apart. Leaks are leading to mold, and the longer it sits, the more expensive it's gonna be to repair. So they're stuck. And it's not because they don't want to fix their home, it's because they can't. And then there's the added risk of unlicensed contractors. After the last hurricanes, Pinellas County ran a sting operation and caught 38 contractors who were scamming desperate homeowners. These guys would take deposits, they were promising quick repairs, and then they'd vanish without doing any work. It was a nightmare. Homeowners are already vulnerable, and now they're left with unfinished repairs and even less money. The permitting system just can't keep up with the demand after a storm, and it's leaving families trapped in unlivable homes. They're doing everything they're supposed to, hiring contractors, filing permits, paying fees, but they're still stuck in limbo. It's heartbreaking, and it shows just how broken the recovery process really is. Families just want to rebuild their lives, but instead, they're hitting roadblock after roadblock. Now picture this, your home's already battered from the hurricane. You've spent thousands trying to fix it up, and then you get a letter in the mail saying it's gotta be torn down. That's what's happening to hundreds of families across Tampa Bay. These substantial damage letters are like a gut punch to homeowners who just wanna rebuild and move on. The city of Tampa has already sent out over 1,900 of these letters to property owners in flood-prone areas like Davis Islands, Palmetto Beach, and West Shore. The problem? These letters are tied to FEMA's 50% rule. If the cost to repair your home is 50% or more of its pre-storm value, you're required to bring the entire structure up to today's hurricane and flood standards. So let me break it down. Say your house is worth $200,000, not including the land. If the estimated cost to repair it is over $98,000, FEMA says you gotta tear it down and rebuild it to meet modern codes. And here's the kicker. If you're in a flood zone, rebuilding usually means elevating the house, which can cost anywhere from $30,000 to $100,000 plus. Even with FEMA grants, most people cannot afford that. And that's why so many homeowners are running out of options. Rebuilding from scratch is too expensive for most families. Think about it. You already have a mortgage you're paying on your house, and now you're supposed to come up with the money to not only knock down your house, but also build a new one. That's ridiculous. Selling the land sounds like a solution, but for flood-prone lots in the middle of neighborhoods, the land values have tanked. Now, if you own a property on the water, those properties can still fetch prices for the land alone from $800,000 on up. Remember, it's all about location, location, location. Walking away and leaving everything behind is the third and final option people are facing. And this is becoming the only choice for some people. This might mean they have to let their mortgage go into default and declare bankruptcy. And I feel for those people. I had to declare bankruptcy back in 2007. So I know what it feels like to be at the absolute end of your rope with no help in sight. These substantial damage letters are supposed to make homes safer and more resilient to future storms, but for many families, they feel like the final blow. Instead of being able to focus on rebuilding, they're left staring at impossible costs and uncertain futures. It's not just about the financial toll, it's the emotional weight of losing a place you've poured your life into. These aren't just houses, they're homes full of memories. And for a lot of people, this process feels less like rebuilding and more like being pushed out. Now here's where things get interesting. For buyers, there's opportunities in the chaos. A lot of these hurricane damaged homes are being sold for land value only. Take these waterfront properties, for example. Before the storm, you'd have to pay $1.4 million for a house on the water. Now, with the home deemed worthless, you can buy the land for $800,000. Yes, you're gonna need to tear down the damaged structure and rebuild it to the modern hurricane codes, but you're starting with a $600,000 discount. The key is doing your homework. If you're looking to buy one of these properties, here's what you need to know. If you're buying on the water, a hurricane damaged home itself has no cash value. So when you're comparing lots, you wanna look for things that are already in place that you won't have to pay for, like boat docks, pools, seawalls. These can cost a lot of money to install, so if they're already there and in good working order, that's a huge win. And I wouldn't buy a home in a flood zone with the plan of rehabbing it. The property's already flooded once, and you run the risk of spending thousands of dollars just to have it flood again. If you're buying in a flood zone, buy with the intent of tearing the home down and building up to the current hurricane building codes, which means your first floor is a garage and your living space starts on top of the garage, which is around 14 feet above sea level. And you gotta understand the property's flood zone designation. So high-risk areas require expensive flood insurance and premiums can climb fast. Get insurance quotes on future structures to make sure your homeowner's insurance won't bury you. And work with a real estate agent experienced in hurricane damaged homes. They'll know how to navigate the risks and spot opportunities. If you need a good recommendation, hit me up in the comments. Now, if you're buying a double lot with the intention to split it and build two homes, make sure you get a variance from the city to split the lots before you buy it. Don't just take the seller's word for it. If the lots aren't splittable, you're probably gonna need to negotiate that price down. I'm not too concerned with hiring a home inspector because the house is worthless, so who cares if it's got mold or the roof is old? You gotta tear it down anyway. I'm more concerned with the zoning and making sure that if I buy the house, that I can actually build my new home on it. This isn't just about getting a great deal, it's about knowing exactly what you're walking into so you don't find yourself buried in unexpected costs or repairs you can't afford. Taking the time to do your homework up front can save you a world of trouble later. Hurricane victims are dealing with one challenge after another, and it's a reminder for all of us, whether you're rebuilding or looking to buy, you gotta do your homework. For homeowners, it's about staying patient and following the rules, even when the process feels impossible. Cutting corners might seem like the easy way out, but it'll cost you big in the long run. For buyers, it's all about being smart. You need to know the risks, hire the right pros, and make sure you understand exactly what you're walking into before signing anything. Now, the deals are out there, but you gotta approach them with caution, preparation, and a solid plan. Florida's housing market is in chaos, and the struggles hurricane victims are facing prove just how tough recovery can be. From endless permit delays to being forced to tear down their homes, it's been one challenge after another. But here's the thing, these stories only scratch the surface. Florida's housing crisis is pushing people into situations you wouldn't believe. Click on this next video to see how some folks are being forced to live in unexpected places and why this chaos might not end anytime soon. I'll see you there.